Takeaway Chinese, where you can take some Chinese away and experience progress day by day. Takeaway Chinese, we will promise you a difference.
Welcome to Takeaway Chinese. I'm Fei Fei. Long time no see, everybody. And joining me today is Steve Hatherley in the studio. Hello, Steve.
Hello, Fei Fei. Ni hao to you.
And remember, if you are interested in the Chinese culture and want to get a grip on the Chinese language, this is the show for you. And stick with us for 30 minutes. You will soon see the rewards. And for more fun Chinese learning, you can follow us on Facebook by searching Learn Chinese to watch many fun videos and live streams. But now let's provide you with some free Chinese for takeaway. And it is the International Children's Day. A day for children, of course, but also I think it can be a holiday for us adults as well, Steve.
How?
You know, it's a time to think about when we were children.
Oh, yes, we can reflect back to when we were smaller humans. By the way, this is very nice. You and I do roundtable together regularly, but we've never had the opportunity to meet in this context.
Yes, and also I can teach you. I'm the teacher here.
Yes, you certainly.
I enjoy that
You
position.
certainly will be. Yeah, so thinking back to childhood days, I mean, there are so many different ways to think about it. But one of the fun memories I have, and this is a day where kids go out and play and have fun, right? When I was a kid, I had to spend a lot of time by myself because I have two sisters, but they're a lot older than I am. They're 7 and 8 years older. So that meant that I had a lot of time to play independently. And you might think, oh, that's sad. No, I loved it. I grew up figuring out how to entertain myself. When my parents weren't around, my dad was a high school vice principal. So he was at school until, 5 or so. So I would come home early. Mom was a businesswoman, so she was so I would come home and I would have, some time to hang out by myself. And I just found fun and creative ways to do that. And I loved it. And I think that's why now as an adult, my wife and I talk about this, I never feel bored. Ever. I can be home with 4 white walls and nothing else, and I can be totally okay with that. I'll find some way to entertain myself.
That's exactly my experiences, Steve.
Oh, really?
I'm the only child in the family, and both my parents work on shifts. My mom is a doctor. She normally works on either graveyard shifts or morning shift, or she had to work on the holidays and weekends. I also spent a lot of time myself, and I enjoyed every minute of it.
Right? It really helps to create a future independent adult, I think.
Yeah, and when it comes to spending time with myself, and I think reading any kind of stories, either fairy tales or legends, I just also brings me to that imaginary world that is basically endless that you can dive yourself into. And I'm not sure, do you have like very similar experiences when it comes to talking about, for example, stories from your childhood that tap into that imagination, that being kind to others, being brave, have courage, so on and so forth?
Yeah, I don't have any particular memories of my parents reading stories to me, but I have memories of reading books because the books that my sisters used to read were still around when I was getting to the age where I became interested in reading. And one of the books that I really loved was called Clifford the Big Red Dog. Have you ever heard of this before?
Yes, I think my daughter is reading that book.
No, really?
Yeah, the big dog.
Yeah, the giant red dog. And his caretaker, his owner, I don't know what word we're supposed to use in 2026. Her name is Emily Elizabeth. And the reason Clifford is so big is because of all the love that Emily shares with him. And then, yeah, there's been I think at least one movie made about that. There was a live action maybe a few years ago that was created. TV shows came from that as well. And there's lots of messages to learn from the Clifford series, but it's all basically about how to, appreciate the things you have in your life, and you learn about fairness and responsibility and respect and all that kind of stuff. So that story stands out to me. But my favorite books when I was a kid were the Choose Your Own Adventure books. Do you know what those are?
No, I never heard of it.
So let's say, you're reading this adventure story, and then you get to a certain page, maybe page 21. And when you get to page 21, at the bottom, it will say, the story will give you a choice. And it says, if you want to do this, turn to page 35. If you want to go this way, turn to page 63. So choose your own adventure. Oh, I loved those books. Those were so fun for me.
And you can decide what kind of storyline that you want.
You create your own story.
That is fun. I've never read any book like that.
They're really fun. And then, of course, when you finish the one way that you decided to do it, then you go back and you choose the other direction just so you can figure out how it would have been different.
Yeah, and then coming back to the stories when they're talking, especially I think for children, it's mostly about taking up responsibilities, like you said about the Clifford, the big dog, or courage or kind. It's also the precise themes for a lot of stories for children in China as well. I think more prominently, a lot of characters that were made into movies and animations that got into the international stage is also what we are showing in this episode today.
How do you say responsibility in Chinese?
It's about 责任.
责任.
Exactly, it's a responsibility. But there is other ways. For example, you can also say 担当. It's more of about taking on responsibilities. 担当. So what's the difference there? Taking on responsibility? How would you put that in a sentence then? He is a person that is willing to take on responsibilities is when you can use 担当.
Okay.
他是一个有担当的人. But when it comes to 责任, it's just a noun. It's just talking about responsibility.
Responsibility itself. Yeah. So 担当 is where you're going to hear it used in sentences then.
Yes, and that 担当 is one of the, I think, features that brings us to the first character that we are talking about today is about Ne Zha.
Ne Zha.
One day, he jumped into the ocean for a little bath. When he waved around the red silk ribbon, the ocean waved along. So much so that it soon looked like the ocean was boiling. That might be fun for the little boy, but not so much for those that lived in the ocean. Oh yeah, there's this underwater kingdom in the ocean, according to Chinese mythology. It was ruled by the Dragon King, who, at that moment, thought there had been an earthquake. The shrimp soldiers and crab generals didn't know what was happening. Their world was in swirls. The bottom of the ocean was the land of the Dragon King. No one dared to mess around there. The son of the Dragon King was not happy with this. He surfaced to check what was going on, only to discover a chubby toddler making trouble. That was no one to be afraid of. The shrimp soldiers and crab generals were no longer scared. They rushed forward and hacked out a path in the ocean, with waves towering on both sides, ready to swallow that naughty little boy. Just then, Ne Zha waved around his silk ribbon, and instead of crashing down on him, the waves landed on the shrimp soldiers and crab generals. When the noise subsided, there were only shrimp shells and crab legs floating around. The ocean looked more like a pot of seafood porridge. Have you ever tried it, by the way? Seafood porridge? It's actually pretty good. Anyhow, the son of the Dragon King was mad. He charged toward Ne Zha, ready to strangle him. But it wasn't going to be so easy. he was not the only one with immortal connections. They fought a few rounds, and Ne Zha took off his heaven and earth ring, ready to strike. The son of the Dragon King knew what he should be afraid of. He changed into a white dragon, ready to swim away. But Ne Zha was small and quick. He jumped onto the back of the dragon. The white dragon struggled both in the ocean and in the sky, taking Ne Zha with him and making huge waves. Ne Zha held on tight to the scales on the dragon's back, and without thinking of the consequence, he raised the ring high into the air and brought it down hard on the head of the white dragon. Sparks flew into the air, and after a few twitches, the white dragon went quiet and still, and then sank to the bottom of the ocean. Uh-oh, what was Ne Zha thinking? That was the son of the Dragon King, and he just killed him. The Dragon King had never been challenged like this before, not to mention losing his son. He called the other Dragon Kings. Oh yeah, so there are 3 other Dragon Kings, that of the West Sea Dragon King and of the South and the North. The 4 Dragon Kings convened in the coastal city where Ne Zha was born to submerge it underwater. The sky darkened like ink, and huge waves reached toward the sky, taking all the fishing boats with them before crashing down again. This was the most fearsome storm that the people in the city had ever seen. And they also saw sea monsters of all kinds riding on the waves coming their way, followed by the much-feared Dragon Kings, all 4 of them. The people knew that their end had come. Though he didn't witness the fight, General Li was pretty sure who the troublemaker was. He took his sword and called for his son. Ne Zha might be little, but he had guts enough. He took the sword from his father, pointed it at the Dragon King, and shouted, "I am the only one responsible. I killed your son. Take my life and don't harm the others." Then he turned around to face his father and said, "I give my flash back to you and mother. I won't let them harm you." Before anyone could say anything, Ne Zha brought the sword across his own throat. So he died. And his soul flew up to find immortal Tai Yi, the old man with the white beard. The old man took some lotus roots, and those became bones and flesh. He took petals from lotus flowers, and those became the skin. He then took some lotus leaves, and they became a dress. In the flowing mists in heaven, a new Ne Zha came into being, made from different parts of the lotus plant. And this Ne Zha never died. It lived on in popular legends to this day.
Okay, coming back from that Ne Zha story, Steve, I think you're probably familiar with him.
Of course.
From either that Ne Zha 2 movie that got international attention. But more to that, actually, I'm not really sure if you know about this. Ne Zha was considered to be not auspicious in the beginning when he was born. Simply because, for example, his mother carried him for 3 years before he was born.
I did not know that.
And when he was born, he was like this ball of flesh. And then instead of a baby. So a ball of flesh rolling out, and then Ne Zha comes out from that ball.
Tough childbirth.
Yeah, so that's why Ne Zha was considered not auspicious in the beginning of that story.
Okay.
But then that also leads to why Ne Zha is being a very rebellious character in the Chinese legends.
Okay. So in the stories, he's known as kind of not a bad boy, but a little naughty.
Yes.
And maybe getting himself into a little bit of trouble.
Yes, and that brings to the story called Ne Zha 闹海.
Ne Zha 闹海.
Meaning Ne Zha stirs up the sea and got into a fight with the dragon in the sea.
Okay.
So 闹海is stirs up the sea. And I think in that movie of Ne Zha 2, they have a famous line called 我命由我不由天.
我命由我不由天.
Yeah, that means my fate is determined by me, not by the heaven.
Oh, that's a very dramatic sentence. Can I have that one more time, please?
我命由我
我命由我
不由天.
不由天.
Exactly. And
My fate
people love it.
My fate is determined by me, not by the heavens.
Yes, and that reflects pretty much the rebellion, the 叛逆character, the 叛逆 personality of Ne Zha himself.
That's a difficult sentence to use in everyday conversation, though.
Yeah, but it can be very encouraging when you're thinking about my fate is determined by me, not by anybody else.
It's also a good lesson to teach young children on Children's Day, too.
Yes. And then let's dive into the second story of this episode, which is another very familiar character to many of our listeners, and also, I think, to Steve as well. It's about Mulan. Right? There are a number of movies coming about Mulan herself.
From Disney, absolutely.
Our story begins in a room where a young woman sits listening to the sounds of a loom, weaving away endlessly. The shuttle passing back and forth relentlessly. At last, it falls silent, and the only sound that can be heard are the heavy sighs of Mulan.
Mulan, you startled me. Have you been sitting there all the time?
And seeing her sad face, asks,
Whatever can be the matter? What are you thinking about? Are you longing for something? Someone, perhaps?
Not in the way you might think, my dear friend. Last night I walked the streets of the city and saw the notices pinned to the wall, calling people to join the army, to fight the great invaders. Each family was to provide a warrior. I have no older brother, and my little brother is too young to fight.
Oh, but your father's too old. If he goes, he may well not come back.
I know, and I fear for his life. It pains me so much.
That night, the soldiers came to the door and demanded Mulan's father join the fight. There seemed no way out. However, Mulan had hatched a plan.
My father must not go to war. Someone must take his place.
So in the early hours, she stole through the house and took her father's armour. In the morning, Mulan bought a fine horse in the East Market and a saddle and blanket in the West Market, a bridle in the South Market and a long whip in the North Market. And she rode away to war in her father's place. For days she stayed in the saddle, and each morning and each evening she could hear her parents' voices on the wind calling for her to return. She pressed on, riding over mountains, through dangerous passes, and across fiercely flowing rivers, until their calls were replaced by the sounds of the gongs of war. into the fray she rode and fought alongside all the other soldiers who believed her to be the son of some great warrior, so bravely did she fight. Each day the sun glinted on the armour of 10,000 soldiers, the air filled with courageous calls. They fought on battle after battle. Some laid down their lives for their colleagues, but many others fought to the end, and after a decade were able to return to their homes. Emperor, the Son of Heaven, was so grateful to them all. He unrolled a scroll of merit and rewarded each soldier according to their brilliance in battle. Then he came to Mulan.
Mulan, you have distinguished yourself as a great warrior. Have fought bravely and courageously with your fellow soldiers. Tell me, what is it that you wish as a reward? Name it. You may have anything you require. Promotion to general, a great house, gold, silver.
The whole court fell silent to hear what the great warrior Mulan might ask for.
My lord, Son of Heaven, great Emperor, I ask of you but one thing.
Of course. Just say, and it shall be yours.
I only ask for a camel, so that I may travel 1,000 miles back to my hometown, so that I may be with my family again.
1,000 camels, then?
No, just the one. One is all I need.
And the emperor and the whole court bowed in recognition of Mulan's modest request. And the very next day she started for home. Even though her parents had no idea where she had been or what she had done for the last 10 years, word soon reached them that she was on her way home at last. They prepared a great welcome, a great banquet. Her sister put on a fine dress, and her little brother, much older now, was so anxious to see her. Mulan's journey home was long, across China, but she wasn't alone, as her fellow warriors had insisted on providing her with an escort. However, as she drew close to her family home, Mulan asked them to let her go on her own.
Please, my friends, my comrades in arms, I beg of you to stay here. I wish to enter my home alone. Later, you will be welcomed into the house to join the feast.
The soldiers were a bit confused, but readily agreed to the great warrior's request. Mulan made sure no one could see as she entered her home. She crept to her bedchamber and found it had been kept just the way she left it some 10 years earlier. Mulan took off her armour, removed her warrior clothes, and changed into her beautiful dress. She released her long hair from her soldier's cap and combed it so it lay smoothly over her shoulders, and gently applied her makeup. Then she went downstairs, greeted her family, and went outside to welcome in her entourage.
Men, Fellow soldiers, I welcome you to the feast.
At first, there was silence. The troops were confused by her words.
We don't understand. Where is Mulan, the great warrior?
Can't you see? I am Mulan.
Well, I'll be Mulan. All these years, we thought you were a man. We never suspected.
Mulan laughed heartily.
Does it matter whether I am a man or a woman, my dear friends? We fought together, didn't we? Bravely, day after day. We charged into battle under the same banner. We won great victories together.
Mulan looked into the faces of the startled soldiers.
My friends, many say that you can tell the gender of a rabbit by the way it moves. The male runs quickly. The female often keeps its eyes closed. But tell me, which of you here can tell the gender of a rabbit when they are running side by side? Can you really tell which is a he and which a she?
As her words sunk in, the soldiers began to laugh and cheer. They dismounted their camels and hugged Mulan as if they had won the greatest of battles. And the great feast was then enjoyed by all.
Okay, coming back, it's a story about Mulan joined the army in place of her father, and in Chinese it's called 替父从军.
替父从军.
Yes, 替父 in place of her father. 从军 is join the army.
Joining the army in place of her father.
Yes.
替父从军.
And the Mulan and the act of 替父从军 to join the army in place of her father represent a very core value, I think, in the Chinese culture, well, also in a lot of Asian cultures as well.
What is that?
It's about 孝顺.
孝顺.
It's about filial piety, right? It's very important for Chinese families that you have this 孝顺attitudes towards your parents and grandparents.
So taking the hardship instead of your parents taking the hardship.
Yes. I mean, in Mulan's case, it's because her father didn't have the capacity to join the army in the first place. And she didn't have any brothers in her family. She basically had no choice. So this is a story about 孝顺 on some level. It's about filial piety. But also it's about, I think, a very important term in Chinese called 巾帼英雄.
巾帼英雄.
It specifically refers to female hero figures. 巾帼 meaning the kerchief that ancient women would wear.
Oh, I don't know about this. What is that?
It's kind of a hairband or something like that that they wear on their head. So called 巾帼. And when it comes to 英雄, it just refers to heroes. So 巾帼英雄 refers to any heroine or lady, female hero figures in any legends or any stories.
Oh, okay.
Even today, I think.
英雄.
英雄.
英雄. Is that a noun?
Yes.
That so? Can you say 我是英雄?
Yeah, of course. I'm a hero.
I'm a hero.
Yeah, and hero doesn't really carry any gender-specific meanings. But when you add 巾帼 in front of hero, that means it's a female hero.
你是英雄.
You are a hero.
You are a hero.
Yeah.
If I want to say you are my hero, 你是我的英雄.
Yes.
You are my hero.
Yeah, but I think it carries like different connotations in English and Chinese, though.
Why?
Because in English, you are my hero is a compliment that you can say on a daily setting to anyone.
If I'm tired and you bring me a coffee, I can say, oh, you're my hero.
But in Chinese, if you say 你是我的英雄, for somebody just bringing you a cup of coffee sounds a very big extraction.
It's a little bit dramatic.
Yes. So even though we have, 英雄 in Chinese, I think carries more weight than hero in English.
So what if I did use this? Would people just kind of laugh? And because people would still understand, right?
Yes, of course. They will see it as a compliment. It's just not something that we use on a daily basis.
They might see it as the greatest compliment they've ever received.
Yes. They would be surprised on some level.
你是我的英雄.
You are my hero.
That's a good one.
Yeah. That is the end of today's discussion. Remember, for more of these stories, you can search another of our podcast called Chinese Folk Tales on all major podcast platforms. And also, please let us know your favorite childhood stories by leaving a comment or find us on Facebook by searching Learn Chinese. For more episodes of this show, Takeaway Chinese, you can visit our website at radio.cgtn.com and go to the column Podcast. And that brings us to the end of today's Takeaway Chinese. I'm Fei Fei with Steve Hatherley here in the studio. Bye.
Thanks. See you next time.